Okay guys, now once you are done with IELTS speaking part 2, examiner will take the topic back from you, pencil, paper, examiner will take that back from you, right? And by the way, the notes you take, no one is going to read those notes. Straight away, it will go to the dustbin. Okay, so don't worry, मैंने वहाँ पे क्या लिखा, spelling mistake and all that. Don't worry at all. You can even write the short forms as well. After this, examiner will say we now move on to speaking part 3. And by the way, speaking part 3 is actually called follow-up questions. In speaking part 3, examiner will ask you the questions which are related to your cue card. Now, for example, if the topic in cue card is describe an activity that usually wastes your time, in part 3, they will ask you, how do you balance work and life? Will you continue doing something when you are aware that it wastes your time? What kind of things make people pressured or things like that? Okay, so in part 3, they will ask you the questions. Now, basically, part 3 is the advanced part, right? And in part 3, they are going to check your ability to speak on a variety of structures, variety of topics. For example, in part 3, they will ask you some questions for comparison. When you compare, for that, you should know some comparative structures. For example, if we compare city life with village life, I think city life is far better, right? Or if we look at two things, now you're comparing. So they will ask you a couple of questions for comparison. And this comparison can be comparison of past with present, comparison of present with future, or comparison of two things in present, and they will strongly observe your comparative structures. And if over there also you are using is, am, are, I am, get up early in the morning and all that, so you will get very low bench score in part 3. Clear? The first thing is comparison. The second thing is opinion. इसको लिख लें जाके इसके structure सीखिएगा, comparative structures. Second is opinion. They will ask you some questions where you have to give your opinion. For example, do you think, do you believe, in your opinion, according to you? So they will ask you the question. And when you give your opinion, you should know at least 3-4 phrases. As far as I am concerned, as far as I am concerned, in my opinion, according to me, to my way of thinking, you can use any phrase like that, okay? So second one is opinion. Third one is assess. ASS, assess. In that, they may ask you questions about benefits and drawbacks. What are the benefits of going to a foreign country? What are the disadvantages of using public transport? Right? And whenever they ask you the reasons, don't forget signpost language, first of all. Secondly, finally, right? And use connecting words, moreover, additionally, furthermore, and all that, okay? So this third category is actually assessment, and you will have to assess. After this, another important category is what we call prediction. Prediction. They will ask you some questions about future. And they want to see what type of structures you use there for prediction. For example, do you think this world will be a better place after 50 years? Do you think this world, this planet Earth, will be a better place after 50 years? Say, as far as I'm concerned, I strongly believe this world will be a better place. I can see the changes all the time. For example, then you can talk about it. You can use the word it is estimated. It can be expected. The changes can be seen in advance. It is likely to happen. So the words for prediction, like, you say, Pakistan is likely to win the match. Pakistan is bound to win the match. Pakistan may win the match. Pakistan might win the match. Might means chances are sleek, right? Pakistan must win the match. Chances are very bright. So the words for prediction, you can just Google it. English sentences for prediction. And they will teach you. And you don't need to learn so many. Just 3 to 4 structures. That's it. 3 to 4 structures for opinion, for advantages, for disadvantages, right? So you got to just prediction. This is what we call prediction. Prediction. So these are the categories. And total, there are 5 questions. Sometimes examiners may bombard you with more questions. You know why? Because it becomes difficult sometimes for the examiner to decide whether the bench score should be 6.5 or 7. Then they might ask you a couple of questions even beyond the topic. Most of the time in follow-up, they ask you questions from the cue card. But sometimes, if examiner needs to ask you more questions, then they can pick up any topic and ask you more questions. One of my students said, examiner asked me more than 15 questions in part 3. Yeah, now the reason is maybe answers were too short. That is why they ask you more questions, right? Or it was difficult for the examiner to decide. Examiners have a lot of pressure. If they give wrong bench score and someone watches my video and applies for EUR, then examiners are grilled actually. Grilled, you know? Something like that, okay? So they are under pressure as well, okay? All right, now you've got the topics. Everybody's got the topic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call you here one by one and you will have to speak on the topic. ये सबसे पहले आएंगी जो मुझे देख के करी नहीं 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 उनको हम 2 दफ़ा बुलाएंगे हम पहले बुलाएंगे. Okay, thank you.